Hello and welcome everyone. I am Tropin and I am a free and open source software developer and author of Guix Home and RD projects. Also, I do streams on various topics like guix, emacs and development related things. And on this stream series we talk about development tools and practices, free and open source software, and how to make a sustainable, ethical business out of it. And also we do my usual duties like code review, maintenance and development of various open source projects. Today we talk about options we have for monetizing free and open source software, and it's necessary to make it more sustainable, to make development more reliable and predictable. Also, we will be merging patches for RD project from mailing list, which are quite important and related to updates in guix repository. So we have to make some changes to make RD running smoothly. And also, I hope we will have time to keep working on our test runner for guile scheme, and actually probably for any scheme dialect to the moment. Hello Anton. Hello everyone who's here. I read both YouTube and IRC chats, but I prefer if you write on IRC because it will be displayed in a little overlay in video stream, so everyone watching the stream recording will see those messages. Okay, on previous streams we talked about stream setup, why it's necessary. We implemented a simple chat overlay for IRC. We fixed Qt 5 crashes, which caused OBS to segfault, and also we did a small talks on feedback loop and why somebody would like to shorten this feedback loop, about persistent value, and we have a very brief talk on open technologies, why they are important and why someone would like and would prefer open technologies, and why we actually contributing in this ecosystem. Also, we did a lot of work related to tests and exploring SRFI 64. SRFI 64 is testing API for scheme. And today let's start discussing FOSS monetization strategies, and I have a note which I made a few months ago, maybe more, where I wrote down some thoughts on this topic, and let's reevaluate those thoughts and maybe discuss them, what options are interesting for us, which can conflict with our ideas, and what we actually can apply for example RD projects and our case. Probably the first option that comes to my mind is donations. Donations can be done with different platforms. The most known probably is Patreon. Also there is a libera.chat and many more. For different regions, for different types of projects, but still it's almost the same idea. You do something cool, you produce some cool content, you produce some useful software, and people can subscribe with regular donation and support your project and your work. they can support exactly the project or a person who makes the project, but it's more about details. For example, Open Collective is probably about supporting projects, and Patreon and LiberPay mostly about supporting individuals. But still, idea is the same. People just see what you do and try to support it with their own donations. The downside of this approach is that it can be not very reliable, and also it's usually not comparable with amount of money you will get from actual employment or maybe contracts. So it's a nice thing. It's also probably very nice to see that people really likes what you do and supports you, but still maybe not very reliable. However, I don't have exact numbers. Maybe it's possible to make a really reliable source of income from donations. But it requires some more research on my end. Also, there are some other options like selling merch, like t-shirts, teacups, or something like that. I don't know how profitable it is, and actually it also doesn't look for me like a really good source of income. It's nice if people using your project want to support it this way. It's nice if they want to have some things that has a logo of your project on it and so on. But probably it's also not that reliable and profitable, and it's more about marketing your project, letting other people know about it, because stickers on the laptops and t-shirts can create conversations on conferences or some offline events, which can lead to spreading the word of your project. But I don't see this as a really reliable income and as something that can be used as a business strategy. Another often thing that I see, which also somehow related to donations, because on many donation platforms you can make a special content for people who subscribed to your page, and they can access this content or access some private chats or something else, and this is intersects with selling exclusive content, which is maybe a good idea to make money from, because if you create a really quality content and people are willing to pay for it, it may be a really profitable and sustainable source of income. But the downside of this approach that you prevent other people from accessing the knowledge you provide in this quality content. So it's somewhere in the gray area. From one point of view, it's more reliable, and people paying not because you are a nice person and do nice things, but because you really provide the value, and they pay for this value. But at the same time, you prevent people who can't pay for this content or don't want for some reason from accessing this content. And it's not the number one option I would like to consider, I would say. Crowdsourcing. I suspect it's some kind of in between donations and contracts. You can create a bounty or a special page where you can crowdsource some development. You declare what you or someone else have to implement, and people can make payments to support these features. I don't know, probably there are some platforms already providing such functionality. And it may be possible to make the project sustain from this type of income. But there are a few downsides, at least few. It works very well for new features. When someone wants something and he can declare it, and some other people can support it with money, the development of this feature. But it probably doesn't work well for maintenance related tasks, because maintenance doesn't create value at the moment, and doesn't give a feeling that the project has new shiny feature and now it's more capable than it was before. But in long term, it allows to keep the development speed the same or maybe even increase it, and it allows to make quality of the code better and make the project more scalable and so on. So this is a first downside. The second downside is it's not very common way, and I don't really know much projects which relies on such kind of funding. Maybe I need to research more and find good examples and find tools to make it easier, but still not sure how practical this option is. Next thing is providing software as a service, and this works very well for free and open source software, and probably one of the most interesting options. However, it requires the software to be something that can be provided as a service. And the good example of such monetization strategy is Xsource Hot. For people who are not very familiar with this project, it's an alternative GitForge. You can think about it as a GitHub, but free and open source, without JavaScript, without shiny bug trackers, but with mailing list and task tracker, which is quite capable, and many free and open source projects use it. And actually, it's necessary to pay for your account to be able to use this service. And it provides continuous integration, mailing lists, source version control, hosting, and many other features. But it's not free in terms of money you pay for it, and it's a good monetization strategy. If you want, you can deploy this service yourself, you can maintain it, and you can continue the development of it, you can fork it, and so on. And you are not vendor locked with this solution, But if you don't want to do it, or don't have resources or time or something else, you can use a service provided by Drew DeWalt and his team, and just pay for it. Because, having such a huge infrastructure to support thousands and maybe even more projects, make continuous integration for them, and so on, requires to pay the bills for the service, for maintenance of those service, and so on. And it's good when you have option to self-host the service or to pay for it, and it's a good monetization strategy if your software is something that can be provided as a service. Delayed open source is also kind of grayish. You publish the source code for public. Later, then you provide a builds for paid version or something like that, which can work, but I don't like it both in terms of ideas behind and in terms of reliability and technical aspects. So it's probably an option, but not the option I would like to consider first. Paid binaries with complete functionality. Anyone always can build same themselves, but free trial binaries can have restricted functionality. It's probably the option which used mostly in mobile applications. When you provide a paid version in some app store with complete functionality, and provide free trial version which has some restrictions, but you still provide the source code and anyone can build a complete version themselves, or even deploy on some other stores. But in the primary store, your software requires some payment. It's not that grayish as the previous one, but it also has some downsides, because it tightly coupled with app stores, which probably monopolies, which not very ethical, and just creating an ethical mobile application and make it profitable or just sustainable is a really hard task, and also not quite related to our case when we have RDE, which right now is not a mobile application. Okay, what else we have? Some options. As options, support subscription. Some companies provide a paid subscription, which probably includes technical support and development. Here I have some more notes, but less structured. Okay, probably such subscriptions can provide expertise, so people can explain how to develop things, how to make some integrations, how to make migrations from other projects, and so on. Looks like okayish thing. Maybe just a little grayish, because it means that knowledge maybe not that accessible. However, it doesn't mean that the documentation is quite poor or something else. It just means that your team have expertise with such tool, and you can provide development, integration, and some other services, or just technical support. Influence, what does it mean? Can vote for most important features to implement. Oh, it probably means that you have some support subscription to some product, project, or company, and you can actually participate in the development more directly and affect the priorities of some functionality, which may be not that bad if it doesn't interfere with the whole development process. So for example, there are some maintainers that can implement these features, or maintainers or developers, and propose those changes to the project, but some other people may develop this project in their free time, or working in the other company, or somehow differently, and the both developers can still have continuous development, and the priorities set by this influence not affects too much the development of the whole project. For example, it doesn't prevent us developers from contributing and so on. It's almost viable option. Knowledge access, knowledge-based training courses, workshops, scaling expertise, legal expertise, specific stack expertise. If you don't prevent the knowledge from spreading, if you don't make a poor documentation on purpose, and so on, but provide some paid services for more interactive or dense knowledge transfer. For example, workshops are quite good, and if you can provide those workshop on paid basis, and you also make conferences, shares this information on the streams and in the documents, I think it's quite viable option to monetize the work on the software project or your expertise in the project. So looks quite okay for me. It seems like we completed the list, but I want to write down another idea. Contracts with other businesses. It's somehow similar to selling the expertise, but you can make a contract with other businesses which want some functionality and would like to pay for it. So you can still develop the free and open source product, but for some features other business will pay if they need those features to be present. And it seems an okay option if it doesn't affect the development too much, if it doesn't pivot the project to the different direction, but just allows the developers to have a bread on their tables and keep working on the same stuff they worked before. So it's somehow similar to support subscription, but contracts for development. Maybe it's almost the same. Okay, What else we have? I have a few links about monetization of open source projects. And we can take a look at them. Funds for open source. Okay, it's probably the sources I used to make this list. But I put the link so you can see, access it and read it yourself, and maybe find some other options. But for now, I would say it's quite comprehensive list. Maybe a few other options are missing, but let me know so I can add them later, and maybe consider as options for RD or some other projects I do. And here, from all those options, I would like to have something like contracts with other business. So as a company, just pay for some functionality, and I or other developers of RD implement this functionality and get funds for keep up project and its infrastructure running, and make the developers more having a more reliable source of income. This is a first option. The second option is just making some workshops or educational events for teams, which can help other development teams to apply the project in the production and so on. Looks like a good option for me. Donations and selling merch, exclusive content looks not very reliable. Looks grayish and not very desirable. Offline training sounds okay. It's necessary to still improve the documentation and ecosystem of the project to make it easier to hack on the project, but still a viable option if company wants an expert to share the expertise with development team or maybe some other team. Crowdsourcing looks like a very cool and really interesting idea, but looks hard to implement. So it's very likely easier to find contracts with business and get the funds for the project from other business than making a platform for crowdsourcing or using existing one and get a reliable income for the project and its developers. Providing software as a service is a good option, but not very applicable to RD at the moment. Maybe we can build something on top of RD for, or maybe on top of plain guix for making infrastructure tasks to be very easy and provide it as a service, but also make it accessible as a self-hosted options. So it may be relevant for the future, but not at the moment. Delayed open source and paid binaries doesn't look relevant and ethical enough for me. So let's probably focus on offline training and contracts with other business, or selling support subscriptions or something like that. Okay, let's finish with this topic and do something more technical. I have a bunch of emails on mailing list. And these emails related to the changes in upstream guix, and maybe some of them are not related, but still let's review them and apply patches if they are relevant. All of those emails available in public mailing list, so I don't disclose any private information here. The first patch related to RD appearance feature, which updates modus thems, which probably adds some changes related to modus them version 4 breaking changes. And here is a description of what we have here. Okay, let's open it as a div and see what we have. Oh, very cool. Here we redefine border colors and fringe colors to unspecified, so it's probably will look just transparent. Here we have some hard-coded colors, which may be not that desirable in terms if someone wants to customize modus them and have some different background color or something else, this will work not perfectly well. What we lost here is deuteranopia. It's option which allows to make use of colors which are distinguishable by some color blindness, colorblind people, and it actually makes divs looks a little better, because I like blue and red for divs more than green and red. Okay, command palette overrides, very nice. Also, now we have this fix for both thems at the same time, because here I had to make fixes for both thems separately, but now we can have it in one place, which is quite good, I will say. And if you don't know what is modus them, it's them created by Protasilos Stavro, who is a very interesting guy who makes a lot of work on emacs and emacs related packages. And the FOSS, the actual package is quite highly accessible actually two thems for GNU Emacs. And you can see here the description, which conforms with the standards of color contrast between background and foreground, and the actual standard is written here. It's not a shiny them which someone would see as a very cute or something else, but it's very practical color scheme which allows to keep working on the text for long periods of time without too much stress on your eyes. And I really like this property of this color scheme. Okay, the fourth version has some API incompatibilities with the previous version. Here you can see a huge document describing all the customization options in the color scheme, but we don't read it today. Somewhere here or not here, modus, or maybe it's it has changelog. Yep, and here in changelog you can see the changes made and the difference between the previous version and the new one. I already read this changelog probably, but didn't implement the migration to new version, and luckily Nicholas Graves did this, as you can see, pretty huge work, and provided the patch which allows to use a new version of modus themes in RD. Okay, we have some overrides for modus operandi palette, and here we makes divider look transparent. So we set the color of the divider to the value of the background color. Oh, actually I was wrong. Those fixes are still present as separate fixes. And we have explicit values for both of them, but okay, not a big problem. Now we have a separate modus vivendi turn PSM. And here we have a special function which sets a few more colors for different packages, and in this case it's git getter fringes package. Okay, let's just apply this patch. It looks good to me. Let's just apply it and see how it looks in the actual code. For this, I will go to the directory and call git am-3, and for some reason it failed. Let's see. Hey Thanos, first time seeing someone actually using the light theme. I would say back in the days I was using green text on the black background to feel myself as a cool hacker. But when I grew up and started to work daily or on with computers, I found that it's quite hard on ice to spend hours looking at the green text on black background. I tried to find more pleasant for eyes and more safe for eyes themes, and the few years ago I switched to light color schemes, and I found them quite good for eyes, and also they're quite good to focus because they destroy melatonin, because there's a lot of light from light color schemes, and you don't you won't be too sleepy, and you will be in a working condition quite fast. And also probably 3 years ago I found models themes and understood that they're quite good for eyes. It's really makes looking and staring at my monitor much easier, and I can work for a longer period of time. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to work for hours, for 10 hours per day or something like that, but it's still safe right now. Probably I just need to be away of computer most of the day and work only for a few hours, but for now I don't do it, so I need somehow to make it safer to work on it. And in my practice I didn't see any dark color schemes which will be as much as pleasant as this light color scheme. And I used quite a lot: Wombat, Dracula, Zenburn, and many other color schemes, but still find this light color scheme exceptional. So I keep using it and suggest other people to prefer it if they can. Okay, I have changes here which are not committed. I will abort applying the patch. We'll commit those changes. and now reapply the patch. Okay, it was applied successfully. Whoops. How's this feature called? Feature emacs appearance. It's also appearance. Am I right? Appearance. Yep. It's an interesting question how to actually write a good commit messages. And I tried to keep the same style for commit messages, but it's not that easy. For example, here you can see I used just nix-shell, and here we have emacs appearance, and probably I need to reward this commit and say emacs nix-shell. Yep, now it's more consistent. Okay, we applied this patch and I would like to test it, but I still have quite old generation of guix that I used to build my home environment. So I need to update it, but before doing it, I would like to take a look at another patch, which also makes some changes, which makes it possible to use RD with a newer version of guix. Okay, let's reply to this patch, source hot. Let's add Xsource Hot Patch set update header, which update the status of this patch on source hot service. And let's reply to it. Yep, thank you very much, Nicholas. It looks good to me. Applied the patch. We'll test it and later push. A little later. Okay. I marked this message as archived, and now it will go to archive directory. So let's go to the next message, which just updates a feature Pipefire and uses just Pipefire instead of Pipefire 0.3. And it's actually a right thing to do, because now we have only one Pipefire package in guix repository. Previously we had two versions, 0.2 and 0.3, and now 0.2 was removed, so we have only one. It's probably not great that Pipefire 0.3 was removed and renamed to Pipefire, to just Pipefire, but let's check it. Guix. We need to grab for Pipefire like this. Okay, what we see here, update switch default to 0.3. What happened here? Remove variable. Yep, Pipefire 0.3 were removed. And dependencies of some packages changed to Pipefire, to just Pipefire from Pipefire 0.3. The same for many other packages, I guess. Okay, that's okay, but it's a little sad that, you know, public API is slightly broken because of this change, and we have either switch to the new version of Guix and get all the new bugs which were introduced, or keep the previous version of Guix but doesn't get updates from recent commits. And also we can't if we apply this patch, actually if we don't apply this patch, I mean this one, people won't be able to use new version, and if we apply it, people won't be able to use a previous version of Guix here. So it's a little unfortunate that we don't have a backward compatibility in Guix. And actually in many other projects it's not a specific project of a specific problem of a Guix project. It's a very widespread problem in software development. That's probably the best explanation I have ever seen so far. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming here and hanging out with us and making a good questions. Apollo asks, how would you make a FOSS business profitable? Plus, how long have you been using Guix? What you don't like about it? Okay, let's start from the first question. How would I make a free and open source software business profitable? I don't know. I actually don't have exact plan how I achieve it. I will be exploring options. Today we discussed a few possible ways of monetization, and it seems that providing consulting, custom development for other businesses is a good idea and fits our constraints. And probably I will be looking for some contracts with other businesses so I can keep work on RD and Guix, but still have some funds to live my life, to get some food, to pay for the rent and so on. I don't know how profitable it will be, and if I can even find such a contract. But I believe it's possible. Guix is quite popular already. RD is also used by some individuals and companies. So it's very likely to happen sooner or later. Better to happen sooner, but still. So this is not exactly the answer on how I will make it profitable. It's more about making it sustainable, at least. Later, I hope to make this process scalable. So I'm almost sure that I'm not the only person who would like to work on FOSS project and still get some money from it to live slightly easier and to eat a little more food. So if you saw the plan for the year for RD project, there are a lot of tasks related to maintenance and scalability of the project, to make it easier to participate in the development, to introduce new features by making a better documentation, better processes, better quality assurance using tests and CI. So I hope more people will be involved in such activities, and it will allow not only me to work on FOSS project and get some profit from it in terms of not only something that will please me, but also something that will make it possible to get some food on the table. And I hope more people will be involved in such activities, and we will get some parts of the contracts that I will get, or something like that. Okay, it was pretty long and not a very structured answer, but I hope you get some feeling of what is on my mind right now. If it's still not clear, let me know and ask one more time, or maybe rephrase the question. The second question is, how long have I been using guix, and what I don't like about it. I use it for 2 years, I guess, probably a little more than 2 years, and before that I used Nix. What I don't like about it, the ecosystem around Scheme feels a little behind comparing to some modern languages in terms of setup. For example, right now I'm exploring the options how to run tests and maintain tests in Scheme projects, and it's not that easy, and I have to dig in some old code to explore some solutions, and I don't have something that works out of the box. Actually, I would like to install Geyser package, which can run the REPL, and also which could run the tests for the project, which written in some specific way. And I would like to see the article where I can find the description of this setup. So I can just follow the article, do the same setup for my project, and make it run in a few minutes. But I need to dig in and maybe develop some tools to make it work. So it's one of the things that I don't like, that for some reason the ecosystem is not good enough right now. But I see the tendency of Guile language and ecosystem around it improving for last few months. I would say it really noticeable that it becomes better. And I hope in a year or two we will get quite mature ecosystems that will be pleasant to work with out of the box. Other things that I don't like about guix is probably not something that we can easily fix, because it's mostly a compromise between some benefits and some downsides. So almost every decision provides a list of benefits and a list of downsides. Maybe I don't like those downsides, but I like the benefits. So I can't, take those downsides and throw them out, because I will need to do the same with the benefits I get. And I don't know if there's some, if there's too much sense in discussing this do and don'ts of what I like about the project. Maybe someday I will make a separate stream where I can explain some things that bothers me, and the things that gives us those downsides, but also what won't be possible without those downsides in this project. Okay, Unvox asks, can't you define public Pipefire subversion to Pipefire? Actually, I can. It's possible. But previously, Pipefire, just Pipefire, was a reference to Pipefire 0.2. So if I define public Pipefire 0.3 Pipefire, it still won't work for people who are using previous guix generations like myself, and it will only work for people who updated the guix. So it's still not a solution, unfortunately. Apollo says, love that mindset. Wish you the best, Andrew. Thank you very much, Apollo. Actually, I really appreciate every message you write to me. It's always a pleasure to talk, to answer questions, and discuss some topics which may be not very popular topics, but still some people are interested in them, and it's always interesting for me. Okay, let's go back to our patches. This one, very simple, very straightforward, and we need to apply it. Probably not so much to say about it. Let's go back to our directory and apply the patch, and thank you. Source hot applied. Good. Copy paste emacs browser. It's a note about the bug that we have with emacs Wayland, pgtk emacs Wayland, and copy paste behavior. If you copy something from emacs to the browser, for example, it's not actually should be browser, but it's probably most common case. the browser and Emacs will freeze until something will crash or some other event will happen. And I will add a node. Oops. pgtk clipboard. I don't remember what was the result of this discussion. Probably probably we said that we need to report it. But nobody did it yet. Okay. Let's comment out on this email. This bug is described here. We made a work around in RD, but it's not a complete workaround. This problem can be reproduced by using middle mouse button. Also, should be reported to emacs devel, but didn't it yet. I didn't done. I'm a little tired and it's hard to, write in non-native language. Actually, it's also hard to write and talk in native language, even when I'm a little too tired. Oops. Okay. I guess it's good enough response. And let's see one more patch from Nicholas. Hey Andrew, hope you're doing well. Guix feature, and wanted to know if these patches are on the right track or we could find a better approach in order to automatically load the right temple snippets. Would be great if you can just have a quick look and hint me with advice if this should be tackled another way before thinking about these new options I wanted to add. We talked very briefly about open technologies on Friday, but this is one of great benefits of open technologies. When you don't vendor lock people, when you provide a source code documentation to it and share the value you created for yourself, it makes also a value for you, because other people also can participate in the development. And this one is a good example. Actually, the whole the almost half of today's stream is the example of this benefit. And here is the thread that in my to-do, as you can see here in the text at the right top corner, but I've not replied to it yet. And here we see that guix temple snippet function here, and it's inside feature guix. What this patch does, it adds temple snippets when the both feature guix and feature temple enabled. It adds snippets from guix project to users list of snippets, and allows to easier write commit messages for guix projects and make some other tasks faster. But the only problem with this version of snippets that probably they contain a bug which was fixed later, and I need to note about it. But let's see the whole thread. Yeah, it's an additional comment about the fact that it's necessary to build the package when we only asking for the source. And I'm not sure why. And I probably need to check it out if it's true, and if it's true, why it happens. But let's reply to the message here. Okay, because it contains a quote of previous message, we can also reply here. It's strange indeed. It's strange indeed. It shouldn't be this way, but This way. Simple reproducer. I will check it out myself. What do about it? It's actually funny that when you reply on emails for the same person few times in one day, you still need to greet. Not actually need, but it's good to greet the person every time, because he can process those emails in different days, and it's just nice when you greet in every email. Так, let's find the commit where I updated temple snippets in guix repository. So it should be search message temple. This one. It was done on December 27, so it's later than the patch. So let's copy git link commit like this. Whoa, I forgot where we had a message. Okay, it's here. The version of temple snippets, please, because they contain a annoying bug which was fixed in. Okay. Okay. Looks good. This patch looks good to me, but update the version of temple. Let's take a look at the patch one more time. Oops. Guix temple snippets mod hash. It makes a okay, maybe it doesn't look doesn't look completely correct to me, because here we create a package inherited from current guix. Okay, it's good that I took a deeper look at the patch. It's not necessary to create new package inherited from guix. We can just use origin and file append to it. Let's just make let's just take it and check it if we actually can do it. TMP7. Control X space source. We need origin, and here file append. Let's hardcode scheme mod and hash. Okay, I see what is happening here. Okay, it takes the exact revision of the guix and downloads only one file, which is scheme file, and I don't know why we need this. Actually, I know we need this inheritance to set all the fields required to the package to the equal value of the current guix, but we actually don't need the package entity at all. We probably can use just origin. Okay, we have our hash here, and also we need another hash here. This one, right? Snippet scheme, guix temple snippet scheme. Snippet scheme, file name. Good. Define temple scheme snippet. Oops. Good, and let's take a look at what we have here. Hi Green Fork. I was inspired by your videos to finally try guix. I am currently having a quest of installing guix on a hosting provider. Next, I will try to write a definition for oncast and start self-hosted streaming. Very nice idea. Actually, I thought about oncast too, but I'm not sure how easy it's to package oncast. If it has JavaScript or some other things that are hard to package. So I didn't explore it too much and decided to use a hosted PeerTube instance and to restream to YouTube as well. But later during this series of streams, I plan to explore already existing Nginx service type in guix and maybe write our own, because I'm not quite satisfied with what we have in guix right now related to Nginx service type. Maybe I will write my own, but we'll see. And I will share some tips how to restream using Nginx. And according to installing guix on VPS, it's not that hard. It's probably almost the same as installing it on a real hardware, but in most cases you don't need any proprietary firmwares, so it should work with vanilla kernel. I mean with Linux Libre kernel, and it's good. I would like more hosting providers provide guix installation image, but let's see. Okay, go back to temple scheme snippet. We have it. We have defined it here. Let's launch a REPL, and let's connect to it. Geyser connect. Cool. Evaluate this model. Boom. URL fetch unbound variable. Cool. We need to use models guix. I don't remember the model name. Guix download. Scheme. Good. Now let's comment out this thing, and let's call build with store temple. Okay, we have file here which contains snippets. Quite good. And let's add it to our message. Also, it's not necessary to create a new package inherited from guix. We can just use a region and file append to it. Or we can just use a region like this without even file append. this. Okay, let's return back message we had here, because it's probably unrelated to the actual patch. Patch looks good to me. Let's take a look one more time at this patch. We have a package returned, and here we use, we added to temple pass. It's viable option. Temple pass. Okay, what I don't like about this solution, that we use Lisp code directly and make some assumptions on how the temple pass declared, and also it depends on the load order. And for example, if the snippet of code loaded before the temple pass snippet is set by emacs temple snippets, it can cause some problems. And what will be a good solution is to use a temple service and extend it with temple config service, for example, RD, it would called RD temple or emacs RD temple. I don't remember, but it doesn't really matter. What we can really do is to declare a simple service which extends the emacs temple service or RD temple service, and add our packages here, so it will make the configuration load in appropriate order. It will make sure. node. Node before think that I try to make a sentence which will make sense. First of all, let's describe what's the problem with the snippet of code. Small problem with this snippet of code. It depends the order let's take a look at home service emacs xyz. The order in which this part of code can be loaded before temple path is initialized, and that can lead to situation when it is overwritten later. To prevent such situations, there is a this home emacs temple service type but it lacks functionality of adding files to it. It expects snippets itself. So we have two primary options. Read the content of and use it with service, or add to do node and address this problem later. Let's say three primary options. Read the content of temple scheme snippet and use it with the service. Update home max temple service type to support not only text itself, but also files with objects with snippets later. Okay, looks good to me. It was unexpectedly huge reply to this simple patch, but it's usually it's actually often the case when you underestimate the issue. When you first look at it, it can look small and easy to solve, but when you start actually implementing the solution, you see a lot of additional things that you need to do. Okay. Hearing that packaging JavaScript is a problem frightens me, not gonna lie. I suppose I might abandon guix if this is really the case. I will need at least some good start to have my positive feedback from using guix. I know that the problem can be solved like you did with IRC plus matrix or with a PeerTube plugin, but both options seems a bit underwhelming. What do you mean that I solved something with IRC plus matrix and PeerTube plugin? Oh, actually, this is not the reason why I prefer IRC plus matrix and PeerTube over YouTube and YouTube comments or YouTube chat. There are some other reasons behind it, and it's probably not the similar to JavaScript situation. The problem with JavaScript ecosystem is that some of the packages are purely bundled. They contain some minified JavaScript, and it's almost the same as binary blobs, and that is why it may be hard to package some JavaScript stuff and put it in guix. Also, it's often the case when JavaScript is fetched from remote sources, so it's also untrusted JavaScript which will be bundled in guix packages, which not the cool, not that cool. So there are many technical problems with JavaScript and packaging it to contain only free software, but you may package JavaScript packages for yourself. You can generate package definitions, and for example, if you work on some projects and develop something, you can easily just generate packages from package.json log, I guess. I'm not sure, but I guess it's possible, and have it managed with guix. But packaging properly and adding it to guix repository can be, a challenging thing. OnCast provides very good chat with Fediverse authentication and decent chat management, and some other things like OBS plugin. Actually, it's cool. I didn't explore OnCast too much, and it seems current setup with PeerTube is kind of works, PeerTube and IRC, but maybe OnCast provides more capabilities and will be more pleasant to work with. But I would say I'm almost satisfied with PeerTube and IRC chat right now. It's not perfect, but still good enough. Okay, for today I wanted to work on test runner more, but it's already almost 2 hours since we started, and I'm quite tired and don't know if I want to work on test runner today. So let's do it tomorrow, because I have a few additions. I found it quite a while ago, another test runner called guix, and we can take a look at how the output of this test runner looks like. And also I have some ideas on how to run tests programmatically. The thing I'm still not sure about is how to launch an exact test from model without running all the other tests, but I will figure out it later. Not perfect, but good enough seems like a constant song when using free software, but maybe we are very, very picky, but good enough. I would say not perfect, but good enough sounds like a song which is constant to the whole life. If you take a look at non-free software or some other software, you will see that it's not perfect but good enough sometimes for some people, and there is no perfect solution usually. It's always some compromise between privacy, performance, UI, accessibility, and so on. And you always have to make such compromises and to pick one over another. And some people prefer one option, some people prefer another option. I see a free software not only ethically good, but also technically more future-proof. So I expect in few years from now to be free and open source software dominant on the market, and proprietary systems and big corporations will either migrate to more decentralized and ethical solutions and will participate in free software development, or steadily but surely will decrease their influence on our world. It's of course not a guaranteed thing, but from my environment, from my ecosystem, I see a lot of trends in this direction, and I hope it's not only my information bubble, but also something that really happens. And the Twitter and Fediverse example is only a small fraction of this tendency, and I hope it will continue to be this way. We will see more distributed file systems like IPFS becoming more popular. We will see the distributions which doesn't have a single server which stores all the packages, but it will be distributed over IPFS or some other similar thing. We will see more social networks which are federated. We will see more chat solutions like Matrix or IRC, which also partially decentralized, and so on. Okay, let's finish our stream for today. And as a conclusion, I will say that it's definitely possible to have a free and open source software business. We can see examples like Xsource Hot and many others. Some of them maybe not perfect, but quite good, and it's maybe not a profitable business, but it's for sure a business which allows to sustain the development of such projects and to make a good life for developers of such projects. And that's it for today. Thank you for coming and hanging out here with me, and see you in a bit.